All right, everybody, welcome into the show. I'm Gary.
This is Austin.
And Midwest Mike's coming back at you with another show. We just did a show last night. We're recording this one on Thursday, the 30th. We'll probably put it up when you guys get it. It'll probably be Saturday or Sunday. Give the other show a few days to be up by itself. But brought back a guest here this week, brought back Kevin Booker. To talk a little Sunflower League football.
Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, no problem. We just wanted to talk a little Sunflower League, do a little bit more of a preview. Last time we had you on, we talked a lot about the coaching changes in the league. And actually, since then, we had a coaching change at Shawnee Mission East, which was surprising. We went from Fred Bouchard to Justin Hoover, and I know we've had a pretty good camp, and, I've enjoyed working for Hoover so far, and we had him on the show last week, and, he had a lot of good things to say, so.
Yeah, he was great. Hoover's very impressive. I really, enjoyed having him on and everything, so I think you guys are in good hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, having listened to the previous podcast when he came on, Shawnee Mission East is definitely going to find themselves in good hands. And like I would advise anybody, give the guy time to get acclimated. He's moved on from his previous stop, but we got to give him time to get into the league, get to know. He probably does know the other coaches, but as fans of the Sunflower League, that's my advice to all the parents, is to let him find his way and give him his time, give him time to meet all of you, because he will eventually. And just let week 1, 2, and 3 play out and go out and enjoy Thursday and Friday night high school football here in Kansas City.
Oh, yeah. And it's a transition, to go from being a play caller, being an offensive coordinator, to being a head coach. Tons of guys go through it all the time, and Hoover, in my opinion, has done a great job with the transition, of getting more acclimated to the defensive guys and giving us what we need on defense. But I don't want to say anything bad about Coach Bouchard here, but, I feel like we're in good hands, and the ship's going to be fine. We're going to stay the course. The kids put in the work all summer, and ultimately, that's what it's about, is our kids, and we still have great kids. We still have lots of talent. And we're gonna be good to go.
Absolutely. There's going to be plenty at Shawnee Mission East for years to come, and around the league, and at any of the schools, the cupboards are never bare. That's all based on perception and thoughts when kids go off to college and do whatever they choose to do. And your 8th grade kid is now a growing young student athlete, either by shoe size, the amount of food that they're eating, and what they're doing after school, football practice or soccer or wherever. Mm-hmm. So the cupboard is never bare, just by perception around the country. It's going to be fine.
Yep, we're going to get through it. So, there's a few games kicking off tonight as we sit here on Thursday. Probably the most interesting game, at least to me. It's not really a Sunflower League game, but, defending 6A champ Blue Valley North going against defending 4A champ Bishop Miege, who, obviously Hoover was their offensive coordinator the last 4 years. They have a new play caller.
It is probably for a Thursday night game, it is going to make an impact in and around Johnson County.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that game. We were just talking about a couple of the other games. Obviously, Shawnee Mission West, I got a couple friends on that staff that were at East previously, and, during the transition, decided to leave and go jump over to West. They're playing tonight versus Shawnee Mission Northwest, so a little battle there in the Sunflower League and in the district.
It should be a good game. Shawnee Mission Northwest and Shawnee Mission West have been playing for quite a few years now. Just to give you an idea of what's going on over there, the Vikings have owned the series 33 wins and 19 losses all time over the Cougars. Just when you have constant threats over at West with Dick Purdy, Harold Wamsgons, and now Tim Callahan, who are the cores of the coaching staff for the West Vikings. They've dominated all of the other four Shawnee Missions and across the Sunflower League, and just wins as a head coach. But they've also had many student athletes go on to play in the NFL, and many students go on to play in college, even if they don't make it to that next level. But it should be fun to see what Bo Black can do against the Vikings. And this last year, they snapped a huge losing streak against West when Shawnee Mission West had their first winless season since the 1966 when the school opened.
Yeah,
or 62. I'm sorry.
I mean, and honestly, I was shocked, that West didn't win a game last year. I mean, you look, they had some close games, but it was good for Northwest to get that win. I do think that Shawnee Mission West will bounce back and have a much better year this year than they did a year ago.
Oh, absolutely. And with Tim Callahan's coaching experience over at West, I mean, and even in the responses I get from whether it's parents or just other media outside, why have they lost 10 straight, even including the Blue Valley North loss the previous season? I mean, it's Tim Callahan, and he's going to get his kids to perform every week. So just because they did lose 9 straight, the Vikings can easily turn it around and go 4-6 or 5-5. And the next year after that, in 2019, they could easily go 8-3.
Oh, absolutely.
Just never underestimate what's on the opposite side of the field, because it'll backfire on you on the scoreboard.
What was the record last year?
Last year they were 0-9.
There was
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, the Courtney Porter, who's one of my good friends, that I had coached with at East. The 3 years I was there, he was our varsity co-defensive coordinator, and he's now the co-defensive coordinator over there. Talked to him last night. He's feeling really good about the game and the work they put in. He had to make some changes. Obviously after you go 0-9, there's things you got to change. But
you got to change something schematically.
Yeah.
Schematically, you got to change something.
But so him and Coach Callahan kind of got together, and he says they got a lot of speed on defense, which is good. I mean, if you got speed, good things can happen. So,
and it's a great asset, and it's a danger to the offense on the other side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And it all depends from one night to the next each week.
Yeah, I mean, and his experience, obviously, playing against Shawnee Mission Northwest every year, so he knows kind of what Bo Black likes to do over there on offense.
Oh yeah, and he's 2-1 against Bo Black all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, just from when he moved from Hayes over into Johnson County, joining the Northwest Cougars, and even Northwest, they're going to be on a great ship with what they have, and this is the 50th anniversary season for the Northwest Cougars. So Bo Black is obviously in an ideal place. He's got everybody he needs and a great coaching staff with him to perhaps knock off the West Vikings, even to prolong a possible 0-1 start for the Vikings, but who knows? I mean, we'll find out in a few hours.
Yeah, obviously, I'm excited about that game too. Being in a Shawnee Mission school, it's one of the 3 games tonight that I'm considering, going to, just to go watch as a fan, not necessarily as a coach, just to go watch kids compete, and I mean, it's a lot of fun to
There's a live stream right there.
Watch. Oh, awesome.
That'll work.
Possibly go check that out. Another game kind of on the radar tonight in the Sunflower League is Lawrence versus the Olathe South Falcons. And, we talked about before Rampy coming back to high school football from after a tenure in Pittsburgh, Kansas.
It was a very good 8 years at Pitt State. I couldn't agree more.
So, he's coming back to high school football. And, I mean, that a Steve Rampy team is going to be well coached. They're going to be disciplined. They're going to know what's going on. And, so it's exciting to see him back in high school football.
I can't remember. I think we talked about it last time, but why did he make the transition back from college to high school?
I think Pittsburgh State was doing the same thing that Shawnee Mission West was doing. cycling out a handful of assistant coaches, and
Okay.
some were ready to move on.
Okay.
And it was an opportunity with all the Sunflower League openings that there were 6 openings to choose from that he could return. And Steve Rampy's no stranger after 20-plus years, almost 30 years as a high school coach.
So there's a big time level of comfortability for him.
Yeah.
Coming back. So
And
that's
reaching out to parents and knowing how to get that kid that's curious about wanting to play in college. He knows every college coach in the state, probably, whether it's Kansas or Friends or
Yeah. So he's
locally at Baker or William Jewell. He can make a phone call if a kid wants to go play collegiately.
So he's a huge asset.
Yeah,
for those guys.
yeah. I mean,
Awesome.
he, obviously had a great tenure at Blue Valley. When he was there before.
We have
And-
4 state titles, multiple trips to state, to the state final.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, they were one of those teams that every year was in the conversation while he was there. So,
Very cool.
yeah, it's exciting to have him back. We see them, Shawnee Mission East, we'll see them week 2. So, obviously, this game versus Olathe South. I mean, every coach wants to start 1-0. It's an important step in your season. So, I mean, I'm sure both those teams will be fighting for that win tonight.
Oh yeah, and just a little curious about Olathe South and Lawrence. They are 16-16 all time against each other. It is truly, it could be considered a league rivalry game because they do play tough. And when Lawrence wins 2 in a row, Olathe South will win the next 3, and that just has gone on pretty much since 1989 when Olathe South and Olathe North joined the Sunflower League. Prior to that, the two had never faced each other except in a playoff situation. But that was back in the early 80s. But there's a good chance, even for Craig Lewis, being 0-2 against Dirk Wedd, he now has a chance to get his first win as in his 3rd year with Olathe South, and he's coming from a great coaching history and coaching tree himself. Craig Lewis having been at Truman and being at Staley with Fred Bouchard before taking over the Olathe South position for Jeff Gorley about 2 years ago. I mean, everybody knows everybody in around the Kansas City area for any sport, but I mean, it could be a 21-17 kind of game going either way. All it takes is a field goal in the last minute or two, or something as simple as a fumble to end a game like Olathe South or Lawrence.
Yeah, I mean, that's one, obviously with us playing Lawrence week 2, that's definitely up there on my radar, and, I'll be watching it. If I don't go there tonight, I'll definitely be watching it at some point on Saturday, breaking down kind of what Lawrence is doing on offense and their personnel, and, I'll focus on kind of what their O-line does, how they pass block, who's their best O-lineman, who's their worst O-lineman, things like that, I'll look at and evaluate starting on Saturday.
Yeah, I would expect this to be a very close game. I mean, Shawnee Mission West and Northwest, that you could toss up because one team, once they get on a roll, could blow each other out of the water on the scoreboard. Mm-hmm. But it could also be really close just because of last year's game with Northwest ending a huge losing streak against Shawnee Mission West. And the Vikings are 7-3 in those last 10 games against the Cougars. All it takes is a one possession.
Yep.
I mean, it could be that simple in the fourth quarter, or like the Lancers have been used to in the last 8 years, just dominating possession after possession and putting the nail in the coffin before halftime.
Yeah, pretty early. Lawrence, from what I've heard, is kind of young personnel-wise. Don't have a ton of seniors that are going to be playing. It's kind of what I've heard from some people out that way. But, I mean, you never know until you line up, how those kids are going to do. And obviously, I would much rather play with a guy like Rampy coming back. I would much rather play them week 2 than week 8.
Oh, yeah. That's a huge difference for any one of the 13 schools in the league, just depending on where someone like Steve Rampy falls on your schedule. the coaches will think more about the game planning than the student athletes are going to, because he's got so much experience compared